Hello and welcome to Learning Programming in C. Before we start writing any code and actually programming, there are two main questions we need to answer. So these questions are, number one, what is a computer? If we are going to start computer programming, we should probably know what we actually are programming. And two, what is a computer program? In order to solve these questions, we are going to look at it in the most basic way possible. So let's take your computer, for example, maybe even the one that you're watching this video on. So a laptop or phone, a desktop, doesn't matter. Essentially, they're all pretty much the same when you look at it from a programmer's perspective. And what that is it's a very simple machine. And this simple machine is able to do basic operations, and it's able to do them very quickly. Now let me define basic operations. What does it mean to be a basic operation? The way I'm going to explain it is a basic operation is something that has a very defined input and a very defined output, and you know very well how to get from the input to the output. So let me just draw that. So we know what the input is to a basic operation. We know what the output is. And we know very well how to get from input to output. So this is very known. As an example, let's take addition. The addition of two numbers. So the addition of two numbers means we have one number, say like 2, and we have another number, let's say it's also 2, and our simple operation is addition, and our output will be another number, which is 4. Right? So there isn't really much thinking or critical human thinking involved in adding 2 plus 2 is 4. It's kind of a very mechanical thing, and we all know what it is. And in the same way, a computer can do these kinds of things very, very quickly. It can do addition, division, subtraction, multiplication very, very, very fast. About 1 billion. They can do about 1 billion of those per second. So the other the other basic operation that I want you to keep in mind is the storage of information. So a computer can take the result of one of these basic operations here and store it into its own circuits. Now, that means that you can think of a computer as two main components. One is the processor. Oops. The processor takes, well, what it does is essentially it does this part here. The processor executes our basic operations, and then we have memory. What the memory does is it takes the results of those basic operations and then it stores them within circuitry. Now, that may not be very, very obvious, so let's do an example and show what I really mean by basic operations and what I really mean by storage. Let's take a trip back in time to about 3rd grade math class when we learned long multiplication. We're going to multiply the numbers 35 by 47. And we're going to do this in the standard way that you learned in school. And let's see. So, well, what's the first thing we do? The first thing we do is we multiply 7 by 5, right? So this here, right here, this is a basic operation. Right? We all know that 7 by 5 is 35, and a computer can do that very quickly. And now, what we need to do is now we need to store this result. And how do we store it? Well, humans, what we do is we just store it on paper. So we take 5 by 7, we know it's 35, so we say, okay, so we put the 5 there, and we put the 3 there, we carry the 3, so we don't forget about it. And then we go 7 times 3, that's what, 21, we add the 3, so again, we have 7 times 3, that's another basic operation. And then and we take the result of that, which is 21. We store that in our heads, or maybe we store it on paper, whichever one is more comfortable for you. And then we take that 21, and we say, okay, 21 plus the 3 that we carried. So remember, we stored this 3 and this 5 here. And what we want to do is now do yet another basic operation. So we take this basic operation, and we know that 21 plus 3 is equal to 24, right? And then we write it down here. Oops. And then we write it down here. And this is, again, the act of storing the result of our basic operation. Now let's just complete the example. So 4 by 35 is 1400. And then, again, we have to do this addition, which is yet another basic operation. So 5, 4, 6, 1. So 35 times 47 is 1,645. And if you notice, we did this example using two main things. Or I guess three main things. We used addition, multiplication, and storage. 35 times 47 may be a bit difficult of a number to do in your head, so you need to compute intermediate results, store them either to your paper or memory, and then afterwards use those results to compute the final value. And this is, in many ways, what a computer does, and even more importantly, it's what a computer program is. And here, let me just give you a more formal definition. A computer program is a sequence of simple instructions the computer can understand. And as a programmer, the goal that you have as a computer programmer, let me just separate this out. The goal that you have as a computer programmer is to take these simple instructions that the computer can understand and use them to make more complex operations. So in the above example here, we first had, all the basic operations we had were multiplication of single-digit numbers and addition, so plus, times, and we used those to compose the multiplication of two-digit numbers here, right? And we can essentially say that this is kind of like our program. Cool. So that's it for this lecture. In the next one, we're going to explore what it means to be a programming language. Thank you very much.